We'll call the meeting to order of the Town of Lake Clark Shores Code Enforcement Board, April 28th, 6:30 p.m. Emily, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Paul Hughes,
Present.
Timothy Daughtry,
Here.
Benjamin Hartman,
Here.
Ariel Hernandez, Trent Swift, Gerard Sanchez,
Here.
Robert Gonzalez.
Okay, we'll now stand for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
So moved. Second. A second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item of business is the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the March 24th meeting, any unfinished cases now in compliance, and any new cases now in compliance. Dana, do we have any?
No.
Okay. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item of business is a disclosure of visit of any of the board members that have any reason to disclose or recuse themselves in relation to any of the cases that come before the board, if you do that at the time of the case being heard. Next item is swearing in of witnesses by the town attorney. If anyone plans on speaking tonight relative to any of the cases, the town attorney's right there.
Florida law requires that all testimony presented to a quasi-judicial board must be sworn testimony. So if you're going to speak tonight, I need you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
All righty. Next item of business is any unfinished cases or fine impositions. Patricia Rott. Dana?
Yes. For the record, I did have communication with Mrs. Rott. There was a misunderstanding about coming to the next meeting and calling her. She thought I was going to call her. She just wanted to make sure that we knew that. And then she was going to have her daughter come for tonight. She didn't intentionally miss the meeting or anything like that.
Okay. Have there been any changes?
Nope, they have a tarp on, and I believe she reached out and has some contacts that her daughter should be able to testify to as to possibly what's going on.
You're Mrs. Rott's daughter?
Her daughter, but I also live with residents.
Would you like to come up and address us, please?
Sure, sorry.
Thank you.
So she did want to apologize. She's 83 and she thought that someone was going to call her. So she felt really bad. So I just wanted to express that on her behalf. So it is currently underneath a claims adjuster, 5-star claims adjuster, and it's also underneath an attorney, Alexa Altman. And I have a letter from her that's stating that it's in a case, it's in litigation right now because of Hurricane Irma. And unfortunately, with from what we're telling us, and the attorney said that you're more than welcome to call her, is that with the COVID, they're not seeing the cases in the courts right now, and that's what's holding it up. So, but it is, we do have it underneath an attorney and with an adjuster, so it's not like we're not trying to do something. Unfortunately, it's just, we're kind of held up right now. So it's not our intention. It is a white tarp, it's a white roof, so we try to, make it look as nice as possible. If you look at the outside of our residence, we try and keep it up very nicely. So we are probably just as frustrated as you guys are and wanting it fixed as well.
I don't think we got your name.
I'm Allison Manning.
How do you spell the last name?
Manning.
Allison. Okay. Do any board members have questions of Ms. Allison?
How long has the roof been since Hurricane Irma?
So what happened was it started leaking probably like a year ago. And then, so there were tiles missing. We didn't realize what was happening. The one roof is a flat part of the roof. And that's what it was tied back to. So I have it here.
But how long, I mean, duration, how much time are we talking here?
The tarp has just been recently put in, probably within, it was put on this year, the tarp.
This year, meaning January or this?
No, this year, I'm sorry, I think school years. I work in a school. So this year it was in like August.
August of 2020.
I believe so. I mean, don't quote me on that one, but I believe that's when it was put on about this year.
And I guess just a litigation going dispute, but the insurance company, or they're not moving ahead to least.
It's the insurance company is Universal Properties. And apparently right now there's tons of things with them right now. I mean, this is what the attorney is saying, and they're not moving forward. It's kind of stuck, but our attorney explained it to us. And again, she said, you're more than welcome to call her. It's because the courts are not hearing the cases at this time, is what she told us.
May I ask when the claim was filed?
I don't know that off the top of my head. I can, the claims adjuster was going to attend tonight. His mother-in-law was put in the hospital today, so he had to stay home with his children. But again, I can give you his contact information because he said you're more than welcome to call him. Or he said if I even called him, he would be more than happy to speak tonight to you.
I'll kind of defer. Trent, I know you have a pretty fair amount of extensive background in cases like this.
Do you know, have you mediated this claim? Have there been an appraisal done? You know, what is it that you're asking for us in terms of the timeline that's in front of you? Has your attorney given, well, I guess not your attorney, is your mother's attorney given any guidance?
She hasn't, and we constantly call her because, like I said, it's just as frustrating to us. And, you know, she just keeps telling us that because of COVID, the court is not hearing. And so she's like, it's out of her control because of the courts at this time.
Do you know if there's been something called mediation that has occurred?
I don't know if that has been, if that has happened or not.
Do you know if an appraisal happened, meaning somebody walking through with an adjuster and somebody else saying this is?
We had an adjuster, it's 5-star is the adjuster company. They've come out, they've done mold inspection inside the house. They're like, all of that has been done. Yes.
And so it sounds like above the roof, there are some other elements to the property that are part of this claim.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know if a lawsuit has been filed? I would assume if with an Irma claim, it would have been filed.
I don't know
Okay.
on that.
What are you asking?
Property fixed.
What are you asking us? Do you have a timeline? I mean, I know that they're saying that stuff isn't being heard, but have they given you an estimate when you might expect some movement?
She hasn't. And like I said, I mean, we were calling her like every month. You know, we let it go for a little bit, called her January, called her February. You know what I mean? Like,
Who's the attorney?
It's Alexis Altman.
That's fine.
I can only express my concern again with the time frame. I know, of course, there's only so long in which to file a claim where it would then be entertained to be litigated. A lot of these insurance companies are at least offering something as an initial before they even go to litigation. But it's difficult, I think, to render a decision without any of that information in front of us. But I'm more than happy to hear any of the other board members weigh in.
Right behind you here to the right. Hi, Robert Gonzalez. I'm sorry that you're going through it. You seem frustrated and a little bit nervous. Obviously, this is nowhere where anybody wants to be on a Wednesday night. So with that being said, one of the issues that, we're tasked with is to make sure that, in the future, other residents don't have a lot of the same issues going on. It would be a real big eyesore if everybody has a tarp. And we appreciate that you went out, did the extra cost of doing the white one, the sandbags, which is all wonderful and kind of a nice nod to your neighbors. It's a neighborly thing to do. So that's a wonderful first step. I guess I have a question for Trent and kind of defer to him. If we do, and this is also a question we can put to the board, if we do find that there is a violation, is that now going to be something that can be included as part of the damages for the lawsuit, so that eventually the insurance company would pay it and not necessarily the resident would pay it?
Might defer to town attorney on that matter, but I think anything that would flow from the damage.
And that's an important question that you should talk with your mom and have the conversation or the discussion with the attorney, Miss Altman, because no matter what our decision is here this evening, that could be something that could push or move the needle in the litigation case. So just because we come to a decision here today, it's not that we're deciding against you for that. It could be really in saying, hey, this is something that the town is taking seriously. You guys need to get on it and do this sooner rather than later. That's just a topic of conversation.
Since at the last meeting, we found the property in violation of the Code of Ordinances, I would think we have one of two options. One is to delay this or proceed with imposing the fine.
So I'm just looking, and I don't know if I'm allowed to consider this, so Charlie, tell me if I am or not. The docket shows that there have been 2 lawsuits filed against Universal. Both of them are 2020 cases. And it looks like there's been no record activity since the fall of 2020. So, that's obviously not you, that's your attorney, but you might want to let your attorney know that this probably needs to move a little bit faster than it is. I can tell you that we're having jury trials again in Palm Beach County. Cases that are sitting or being sent to non-binding arbitration, that's usually not a great option for litigants, but it is something that's leveraged to move, and it doesn't look like either case is mediated. It also looks like in both cases, there's something called a corporate representative deposition that occurred, and usually that's a pretty critical juncture. And it looks like in both of those occurred at least 90 days ago. Now, they might have been rescheduled, but it doesn't reflect that in the docket. So I would encourage you or your mother to speak with your attorney and say that this is something that, the town is trying to get resolved. We're certainly mindful of the fact that this is going on, but, COVID, the COVID restrictions are easing. The courthouse is going to be throttled, but, there are ways to get things moving that don't involve a jury trial. And so, certainly I don't want to give you legal advice. I just want to give you some practical advice. And my practical advice would be to tell your attorney, hey, we gotta find some way to figure out what's going on here, because I think we're always deferential to requests, but coming in here without a timeline, coming in here without any guidance, coming in here without anything is pretty, it's a pretty impossible position to put us in.
I'm going to be honest, I've never done anything, so I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I understand.
I'm going to go ahead and move, based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 210070, I move that this board continue this matter until the Code Enforcement Board hearing on May 26th of 2021.
Sure, I'll second it.
All righty. Does anyone need me to repeat the motion?
Could I ask for a clarification in that time frame? would it be helpful if we could hear from the attorney as to the scheduling of the matter with the courts and the time frame that she's looking at for the scheduling?
My reluctance with doing that, Charlie, would be if you put a plaintiff's attorney on a schedule or something else like that, it could disadvantage their case. It doesn't look like any of
Absolutely.
them have been noticed for trial.
That's true.
You might want to suggest to your attorney noticing things for trial goes a long way. You didn't hear that from me. I mean, I guess you did since we're on the record, but
Do you have a
you know,
pin that I can use?
It would certainly be helpful to know that the attorney is aggressively pursuing the matter.
Yes.
yeah, I would agree with
Are
that.
they, is the docket notice for a CMC, a case management conference?
Nope.
Right.
You don't know what all that means, and neither do I, but
I think the important thing to note is that continuance or not, or even if there is such a thing as what could occur if it doesn't progress, as even if we were to impose a fine, understand that that stays with us and we still have the ability to work with you and help move this along. And it stays in front of us, and that can always be taken away at a later point in time.
I'm just curious if, I know this has been a long time. Now we're coming up again with hurricane season and all that, but, and claims adjuster and Trent, if you want to, or the town attorney, but is there any way that your mother or whatever could start fixing that roof
She doesn't have the
monetarily
capability.
at all?
No.
Or the fact, because if she had documentation, then could you like try to fight to get it back? But I'm just saying, if
'Cause
the
I
house
was
is
gonna
getting
ask
damaged.
this- I asked the same question with it coming up to, hurricane season, and they said, well, if it's damaged more, then you file another claim, was the response that I got.
Because it sounds like we're going to be here in the same spot next month. I feel.
well,
Don't get me wrong, I'm just trying to, and I feel for your situation. So I just think, May, we're gonna start the rainy season at usually Memorial Weekend. And, it just starts, I know you've been dealing with this, but I kind of feel like doing nothing is gonna make your house even worse. So I just, is there any contingency in that, or the attorney can, for you guys to obviously get your case, get the money you put in and invest, but I can't see just sitting and just waiting. Since August of 2020, got the TARP. I mean, that's a lot.
Ms. Manny, hopefully, we invite you to come back to our next meeting, assuming this motion passes, and hopefully bringing us some additional new information.
So can you tell me exactly what you're looking for me to bring back?
Hopefully you'll have a conversation with your attorney and he'll be able to give us some new information about resolving this situation. And
So I know you mentioned like notice of trial, but is there something else that I need to be asking?
Yeah, I think the helpful things would be if this case is mediated, if mediation's scheduled, if you've been noticed for trial, if you have been, what trial docket are you on? And then the last thing that I think would be just generally useful, and we don't want to get into your attorney's impressions or opinions of the case, but how much time, assuming 30 days from now or whenever the next one is, May the 26th, so just about 30 days from now, how much time you reasonably expect the tarp to remain on the roof? And again, we're not asking your attorney to give us the roadmap that they're going to pursue or she's going to pursue. We're not asking for a whole lot that wouldn't be otherwise subject to public record. So we'd like to know if the case is noticed for trial, what trial docket it's on, if the case has been mediated or if mediation's scheduled, and then just the general, how long you would reasonably expect the tarp to remain on the roof.
Okay.
Would it be reasonable, I know it's going to trial, but to even have a representative of the insurance company come in front of the board and say, hey, listen, I got the town, this is my situation, and you guys, I don't know if that,
I don't think so.
That's very unlikely to happen.
I don't think they're going to show up.
No,
Okay.
it would be,
They barely show up to mediations.
it would be very unusual for them to show up.
I'd like to just make a comment and understand, kind of going along with what we said before. I think it's our job to establish the precedent as well. And because we're going to have other cases, and we have had cases before that are like this. And understand that whether or not we impose the fine, that stays with us, and we can always take that back at a point in time. And I'd like to hear thoughts on how you feel about doing that, whether it's at this meeting or the next one. It's going to have the same result, and we know where we're going to be with the time because it's out of our control. And the goal of it is just to stay consistent with past rulings and set precedent for the future and for other cases that come in front of us. And know that we're willing to work with you, but that's my comment that I wanted to add.
So we have a motion moved and seconded to postpone this case until the May 26th meeting. Are you ready to vote, or does someone like to amend that motion?
Well, I guess on the spirit of the discussion, I remember there was one issue that we had before us where, it was generally a non-responsive insurance company, and we tried to use any leverage we could to get some repairs done. This, and again, I'm not trying to offer legal opinions or legal advice, but it looks like there's just a flat denial of coverage. So this is a much different situation. And so while I'm not saying that we should get into the nuances of each case, the last time, as my recollection was, they came with that timeline that we talked about, saying that this had been mediated, this was on a trial docket, there was more, let's call it proactive engagement from the resident, or at least through the resident's attorney. And so I think that if we're looking at precedent and that kind of thing, I would encourage us to look at this and say, on the one hand, our goal is compliance, and on the other hand, we need to be realistic too. And I think that the most helpful thing would be, whenever we're seeking compliance or realism, would be more information. And frankly, we don't have enough of it today.
Fair enough.
So, are you ready to vote? Anyone need the motion repeated? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Manning, hopefully you'll be able to come back to the next meeting and bring us some information either from your insurance company or your
I'll contact her
mother's attorney.
tomorrow.
Hopefully.
Thank you for making the time to
To come.
spend your Wednesday evening with us.
Thank you. Okay, are you ready to move on to the
Thank
next case? All right. That would be under new cases, 21-0121. Dana?
On February 11th of 2021 at approximately 10:00 a.m., I issued the property located at 1809 Arlington Drive, Madeline, Mortarilla. Violation for Mortarilla, not, yes, sorry. The violation for having the roof in disrepair, and there's also a tarp on it, section 3420 and 34199C. I have been in contact with Jeremy Mortarilla, which he owns the house next door, you see below. He is here to speak on behalf of his mother's home. Since we kind of really didn't get any results or anything happen with that time, on April 5th of 2021 at 10:45 a.m., I met with Jeremy and he signed for today's hearing notice. He's here.
How long has the tarp been on, Dana? Do you know approximately?
Year, maybe, so almost a year? You said December? Okay.
December 2020?
Not quite as long as the other one.
December of 2020.
Okay.
And it's that, the like wood cedar roof, is that what they call it? Cedar shingle? And there's the,
And you first noticed this, what date, Dana?
probably in, kind of when it, maybe when it first went on,
When,
maybe January. When I gave them the actual
Yes,
notice wasn't until
when you
February.
first noticed them,
February 11th,
February 11th.
yeah. Usually just leave it for a little bit to try to see, you know.
Okay. Sir, would you like to come up and give us a clue as to when you think this is going to be? This is your mother's house?
Yes,
And what's your name?
Jeremy Mortarella.
Jeremy.
So we hired firehouse adjusters in December. They immediately came out and tarped the roof, did a mold inspection and their normal, protocol. It is set up for mediation. There are 2 possible dates, May 3rd, May 14th. So just in, a week or 2 weeks. Regardless of the outcome in mediation, I'm going to pay for the roof repairs. We just want to see what happens at that point, but regardless of that, I'll be paying out of pocket for it because we can't wait. It's the same insurance company as the young lady that was just prior that was talking. They are an extremely difficult insurance company to deal with, and that's why we're going to mediation. I'm asking for obviously more time as far as keeping the tarp in place. We have done some other preventative measures as far as putting some metal underneath the cedar shake to try to divert the water. So it is possible for me to remove the tarp as early as next week. So 99% of the leak has stopped.
Questions?
I'd make the same motion based on testimony and evidence presented in case number 210121. I move that this board continue this matter until the Code Enforcement Board hearing on May 26, 2021.
I second it.
I've also hired Nick's Roofing, which came out and did an inspection and has given us quotes on that. So once the mediation is done, they're going to be full speed ahead. There are 4 roof jobs ahead of this one, but that's basically 3 to 5 days per roof job is what it takes them. So I'm guessing 60 days from now that we'd, have a roof on it or at least some progress.
Okay.
Has there been a permit applied for and all that?
No, not yet.
I'm just going to go throw out that, do the board members think we should at least go on the record as saying that the property is in violation?
I mean, that's fine.
And then you can postpone it till the next meeting.
So we're looking to amend the motion?
Well, with that being said, I'd like to issue a retraction to my motion.
Is there any objection with Mr. Gonzalez retracting his motion?
We could just amend it. Or I guess we can if we're continuing it. So, yeah. No.
Yeah, I'd like to strike my motion.
Okay. Would someone else like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion. I move that based upon the evidence and testimony that the board heard today on case 210121, which is 1809 Arlington Drive, Lake Clark Shores, Florida, owned by Madeline Martorella, that the board find that the property is in violation of the subject code section 34-20 and 34-19 sub 9 sub C, and that a fine of $50 a day may be imposed until compliance is achieved, and then we'll revisit this case at our next code board meeting in May.
I'll second that.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. So
No problem. I'm the next.
we'll see you at the
Yeah.
next.
I'm the next case as well.
Okay.
Can
So
can
We're
I-
gonna hang out with it.
Can I add something else just to make sure that he understands? Like, I wouldn't want you to, like, we're not trying to tell you to take the tarp off and cause damage to the interior of your home or anything.
Understand.
So just know they gave you to the next month and then you can
Correct.
reassess it. I don't want anything to happen to your mom's house.
And to be clear, just because we're finding a violation, again, like Benjamin said, before, we're just trying to keep a very cohesive, normal process of how we deal with some of these cases. So we're not treating different properties differently. All right. And thank you so much for being proactive. I do want to point that out. I was impressed with that. Other folks
Did you
come.
get that pretty
Yeah,
quickly?
that's,
'Cause you didn't have that when I talked to you a little while ago.
so thank you. Thank you very much. And it is a very bright shade of blue.
Oh, we're not there yet. Hold on.
All right, moving on.
Excuse me, who seconded the motion?
We did vote on
Benjamin, you seconded the motion, correct?
Yes.
Or was it Paul?
I believe I seconded the motion.
it. We voted on it, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So, next case is 21-0122.
Yes.
Mr. Motorola.
It'll be a very familiar. On February 11th, I issued the property located at 1830 Arlington Drive, Jeremy Mortarella's property, for violation of roof and disrepair. It has a tarp on it, section 3420, 3419 9C. Like I said, I have been in contact with him, but again, there wasn't anything during those couple months. So April 5th of 2021, 10:45 a.m., I met with him when he received the other hearing for his mom, and he signed for his as well. And there he is.
Just curious, how is it that both houses,
So my house, this one that we're talking about now, was the first one where we noticed water damage. Firehouse adjusters was there inspecting my home and asked about my mom's house next door and asked if he could look. And he found damage that we didn't even know was there.
Huh.
So just upon his accord, as far as finding, mine was the first one, but my mom's being second. Same insurance company, a little bit different process or lack of progress. I had a renter in the home and was unaware that I had to change my policy from being a resident to now having a renter.
mhm,
So my coverage on this has been denied
Mm.
by Universal, which once again, very difficult to deal with. I have spoken to an attorney regarding, going after them. The renter policy is actually less expensive than the homeowner, actual resident policy. This is going to be identical. My roof will be getting done before my mom's. I'm going to lay the money out, go after them after the fact. The attorney I have spoken to, similar to the young lady, said, don't expect to get into court anytime soon. But I am financially secure where I can afford to fix both homes. So basically, it's the same story after that. I don't have mediation on this one. Same thing, Nick's Roofing, they're probably going to come in next week or within the next 2 weeks to apply for the permit and, get moving on that one first.
Do you know how much time you're asking us for?
Like I said, there are 4 ahead of us. He's saying
Four
that it's
roofs ahead of you, you mean?
correct
Yeah.
with that company.
Right.
They're saying about a week per roof, 3 to 5 days per roof.
And however long it takes for the permit to come back, obviously.
Which
Correct.
wouldn't be his fault.
Right.
Depending on,
They have a lot of permits coming in.
depending on weather as well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say 60 days.
No. I'll make a motion if.
Okay, yeah.
I would move that in the case of, based upon the testimony and evidence presented to the board today, that the board find in case number 21-0122, which is 1813 Arlington Drive in Lake Clark Shores, owned by Jeremy Martorella, that the property is in violation of the cited code, section 34-20 and 34-19 sub 9 sub C. Specifically, the roof is in disrepair with the tarp, and that a fine of $50 a day may be imposed until compliance is achieved, and the board would revisit this in 60 days, which would bring us to the June code board meeting.
If I can, I'd like to come in May, 30 days earlier, to show you there is a permit and there's, some progress.
So then I'd amend that we'd revisit this in 30 days to the May code board meeting.
Yeah, I
Second
second that.
that.
Okay, so we'll vote on the amendment, which is to bring this back to the May meeting versus the June meeting. All those in favor of that amendment signify by saying aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Now we are at the main motion, which is a fine we find that the property is in violation and a fine of $50 a day may be imposed, and that will bring this back to the May 26th meeting. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you as well.
Thank
do.
you.
Thank you for being proactive.
I appreciate it. Good luck. Hopefully you'll get a nice tenant.
Paul, can you just let me know who made the motions and seconded the motions?
Kent made the motion.
Okay, and then it was
Ben,
Ben,
did you
I
second it?
think Ben seconded.
Ben.
Ben
He
did.
might have gotten me first.
Jerry?
Either one of us.
One of us did it.
Pick
What
one.
do you pick one?
Pick
Eh,
Jerry.
blame it on Ben.
But then it was
Yeah, blame
amended.
me. I did it.
Oh, the amendment.
Oh, yeah, and then I amended it. Sorry.
We're not making things easy on you, are we?
No. So when it was amended, was that was approved, but who made the motion and who seconded it?
I made the motion, and I think Ben seconded that
Seconded
one.
The amendment.
Okay, so again, both of you.
Yeah. Keep it consistent.
And then the last one,
Oh,
when we went back to the original, after it was amended, who made the motion and who seconded it?
I made the motion.
You can't amend your own motion.
You can't.
Mm.
Oh, well.
Right, Charlie?
It might be defective.
Basically, it was a new motion.
Okay. No.
The motion should just read that it was, that it comes back in 30 days to
Right,
the May meeting.
we'll go with that.
So was
So there's really
Is
only
there
one vote
just
needed.
one motion?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
All righty. Are we good now? Okay.
Goodness, I hope so.
All right, the next case is 21-0126. John Gigliotti.
Yes, sir.
Hope I didn't butcher that too much. Dana, we're
Yes.
going to let, you're going to speak with us, sir, in just a second. Dana's going to present the case to us. If that's
Okay.
On January 20th of 2021 at 3:30 PM, I issued the property located at 7523 Pine Tree Lane, Mr. John Gigliotti, for having the open storage and public view on the front porch. There were some other violations which he was kind of taking care of, and you'll probably wonder why. There's some time in between. Mr. Gigliotti, in the past of dealing with him, he usually just takes some time and starts to work on things. So when I saw some of the other stuff taken care of, I thought, okay, he just needs a little more time because that's how he normally works. But then on April 8th of 2021, I issued the same property for the open storage, section 3420, 3419, section 7. I forgot to advise that. I met with Paul Gigliotti, who's here today, his nephew, and I learned that Mr. Gigliotti had been very ill and was hospitalized a few days prior to this notice from dealing with an illness for some time. And he's here to let us know what's going on. For the record, there's some other violations that I have spoken with him about, and those will be dealt with or just for the front porch. It appears he's been working on it for several days, but that's what it looked like today when I went by and took the photo at 4:40 PM. So it kind of made its way to the driveway. It does not look like that is all of,
That's gone.
oh, so then it's been gone since I've driven by, but.
I brought a picture of what I did.
All right. So from looking at it, that wouldn't even be 5% of what was on that porch.
Right.
So,
Before we have any discussion, I have a disclosure of visit. I sent an email to Dana on my morning walk. I had taken a picture of the property sometime late last week, I believe. And
kind of look like this.
it looked, I don't know whether it may have looked better than that, but an additional disclosure, I have very fond memories of John. My parents are on 7603, and the Tacketts used to live right next to John's home, and I would, 10, 12, 13 years old, I would be running back and forth in the backyard. So he was always very, very nice. He had a very cool speedboat back there for a very long time, and has always been a very friendly gentleman. I do want to say, Paul, I'm sorry that he's sick. But that's my disclosure.
Man.
He's so sweet. He's a really sweet man.
It was.
So he passed.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
Sorry to hear.
but now he's not suffering anymore. Oh, he's with his kitties.
Dana, did I hear you say
I
that?
used to take his mangoes. He loved to share his mangoes with us.
Yeah.
Sorry, Paul.
It really was.
Dana, did I hear you say January was the initial?
Yes.
I'd like to add to that. I go walking around the neighborhoods, just trying to lose weight. And, but for quite a while, I've noticed just personally walking that it wasn't like that. And I think.
No, yeah,
Robert-
There's
it's
progress.
not like that now.
Right, no, but there was always something stacked up, basically behind the, against that wall, the porch. The porch always had stuff.
Yeah.
Just stuff. It was always in public view and all that, and for a long time, and be it whatever. So I feel your grief, and I'm just wondering, it just seems to be a continuous issue for a while. So I just want to disclose that and let you know. But,
So Mr. Gigliotti, are you saying in that picture right there, all of that's gone now?
That's gone, yeah. I did that today.
Okay.
Paul, you want to show me that picture?
Yeah, I have, well, this is, even though that's like that, it's, behind it is all that stuff, but that's all gone. All that stuff that's in front of the truck.
Okay.
Is there still stuff that we can't see that's on the front porch?
Yeah, I'm not finished.
So you just
yet,
cleared
but,
what you can see from the roadway?
Yeah, that's right. That's correct, because I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not finished, but I did get everything that's visible from the street, is gone. Like you can see in the picture, and all the stuff that's in front of the Bronco there is gone. That was, I was just clearing it out. That's why I brought everything out. I was doing that today.
Paul, based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 210126, and in light of John's passing, I move that this board continue this matter until the Code Enforcement Board hearing on May 26, 2021, to give you and your family enough time to wrap up whatever it is and clean out. I know he had a lot of things. That's my motion.
I second it.
Okay, the motion's been moved and seconded to postpone the case until the May 26th meeting. Any further discussion? Are you ready to vote on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Paul, let me ask, what did John do for a living? I think he did something very interesting.
He was a president, in New York, up in
Wow. Whatever happened to that cigarette boat that he had back there? It was like a speedboat or something.
I lost it.
That's what it was. It was purple and white or something, right?
I think he told it to my dad. He put it on my ocean.
Wow.
His dad passed away last year.
He died on the same day, in April of last year.
Wow.
Wait.
Sorry to hear that.
Cancer.
The same day?
Same day, and same diagnosis.
Sorry to hear that, Paul. My thoughts are
Oh,
with you.
they're
Seriously.
together now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you for
When it
coming.
rains, it pours.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
I'm sorry. Yes. You can give me a call. My number's on the paper you had before.
Okay, good.
Okay? You're welcome.
Next item of business is board comments or suggestions. Emily, I'd like to thank you for forwarding the board member handbook to
Oh, you're welcome.
me. I assume everyone else has seen it and had an opportunity to at least look at it.
I'd like another copy if possible.
Sure.
If
Emily
you could
can,
send
You
it
want
to
me
me.
to email it to you?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
Thank you for all the hard work you do. And I do want to apologize for my tardiness. I have my 2-year-old son. My wife is, she's away on business. And so
That's a problem.
that was my 3-minute tardiness. I barely slept last night, but I'm here. So
If you would like, I can give you an update on the business tax that were decided last month.
The what? I'm sorry, I didn't.
business.
The business tax?
Business tax?
Yes.
Okay.
Only 3 out of 12 have not paid. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so I will record a lien for those 3. And then also for,
Do we know which 3?
yes, H&H Plus, Rock Point Academy, Svita Inc., and West Palm Endodontics. And then for 7730 Westlake Drive, we sent a letter to abate the nuisance on March 19th, and we gave them 30 days. And so, was it last week we went to the property, or no, it was this week. We went to the property to look at what needed to be done because we haven't heard from anyone. And so it was decided that we would take care of the vegetation and also the garbage. The house is not in good condition. The roof is, you can see that it's kind of caving in. So we're not gonna touch the roof. What else? So we're working on getting some quotes to maintain, the vegetation, and then we'll see with Charlie what the next step is.
Right.
To get reimbursed for the costs.
Okay. Any other discussion? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So
moved.
seconded, so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right.